What if I told you that today we're going to be talking about the law of karma, organic food, decalcifying the pineal gland, holistic treatment for various pains, cleansing parasites from your body, liver, kidney cleanses, diets and herbs, restoring your eyesight to 20/20 vision, finding a partner, the zodiac, and discovering your life purpose. Sounds great, right? Well, these topics are all found in the Luciferian Doctrine. Namaste, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across the planet, around the world. My name is Greg Prescott from in5d.com. And today we're going to be talking about the Luciferian Doctrine. As you guys know, I am not Luciferian. I'm not Satanistic. I'm not even Christian. I do believe in an all-loving higher source, and that's who I choose to go to. When I surrender, I go right to source. When I channel, I go right to source. I used to channel beings from Zeta Reticuli, but it didn't feel right, even though they never told me anything negative. I just didn't feel that that was the right thing for me to do. So I ended that connection with them and go directly to source. And since then, I've gotten some amazing downloads from source as well. But today we're going to be talking about the Luciferian Doctrine. Now I need to open up a hang on. Okay. First, I want to talk about Satanism versus Luciferianism. And I'm going to do a screen share on this. You guys can read along with me. I found this really interesting, and I think you guys will too. So Satanism can be divided into two smaller schools of thought, theistic and atheistic. Theistic Satanism believes in an actual entity, Satan, who they worship and give reverence to, as well as developing a personal relationship with him and various demons, who may also be a variety of different dark pagan gods. Set of the ancient Kemet Egyptian pantheon. Ritual and magic are very common amongst these individuals, and many see Satan and Lucifer as one and the same. Luciferians observe their reverence to Lucifer in an entirely different light than Satanists, literally. While there exists a small sect of the theistic Luciferians who believe Lucifer is an actual being, the majority of Luciferians see Lucifer as an archetype who, as his name describes, is a bearer of light, a bearer of knowledge. Compare Lucifer to the Greek archetype and the concept of Prometheus. Luciferianism can be seen as more of a philosophy rather than a religion, belief system, or practice. Luciferians are primarily focused on humanitarian goals of enlightenment, independence, liberty, and progress. There are some Luciferians who see Lucifer and Satan as being two different beings entirely, while those who do not see them as being one in the same see Satan as being the lower nature which they should rise above, and Lucifer as the higher self that they should strive toward being. One major characteristic that both Satanists and Luciferians share is that both schools of thought are left-hand path philosophies, meaning that both see themselves as being gods and not being subservient to any forms of authority or higher power. The atheistic branches go without saying this is true for them, but even the theistic branches see Satan or Lucifer as simply being a teacher or partner rather than a being that they worship because they are his servant or slave. While Satanists and Luciferians may be hostile towards the religion of Christianity, they're not hostile towards Christians themselves, as they see Christians as being victims to their own religion. And I'll put the link to this. There's a lot more to this, and that was just a little of what I copied and pasted from this article from the Gnostic Dread. And I'll put like little notes in here too in red. And this is worth noting too. In astro-theology, Satan is Saturn and Lucifer is Venus. So they're right there in astro-theology. They're two different entities from one another. Venus is the morning star. So they're not one and the same. They can't be. So, you know, you can't say that Satan is Lucifer. In other words, it's not true. So before we jump into the Luciferian doctrine, this is more that I want to cover real quick. I think I have the link to this write up, this paper somewhere. I'll post the link for this as well, so you guys can research this a little bit more, because this is only a small part of what I read. Masonry, like all the religions, all the mysteries, Hermeticism and alchemy, conceal its secrets from all except the adepts and sages or the elect, and uses false explanations and misinterpretations of its symbols to mislead those who deserve only to be misled, to conceal the truth, which it calls light, from them, and to draw them away from it. And that was from Albert Pike in his book, Morals and Dogma. So already you're seeing that these secret societies, there's a lot of deception that's born into it. And you're pretty much deceived all throughout, as many people can attest. In a Freemason building, you'll have, you know, a Christian Bible, you know, in the lower levels. But once you get to the higher levels, it becomes the Luciferian doctrine, which we will be talking about. But it's all, once again, like I was saying, it's deception. Masonry and its purity derived from, let me try that again. Masonry and its purity derived as it is from the old Hebrew Kabbalah, as part of the great universal religion of the remotest antiquity. So you can see the origins of Freemasonry from the Hebrew Kabbalah. For the vast majority of Masons, Freemasonry is a lifelong succession of deceptions. Most lodge leaders do not realize that they are deceiving their members. Masonry is a system that confuses, deceives, and controls men, getting them to do things that they would not do if they understood them. The highest level Masons, princes and adepts, deliberately deceived the Masons under them. For example, Albert Pike was one of the highest authorities in American Masonry. His book, Morals and Dogma, is given to men when they reach the 32nd degree. The following quotations from Pike's Morals and Dogma show that Masons have the highest level Masons of the highest level deliberately deceived the Masons below them. And here's a quote from Albert Pike's book. Part of the symbols are displayed there to the initiate, but he is intentionally misled by false interpretations. It is not intended that he shall understand them, but it is intended that he shall imagine he understands them. Drop the theological barnacles from religion, the religion of Jesus, as taught by him and by the Essenes and the Gnostics of the first centuries, and it becomes Masonry. Masonry in its purity, derived as it is from the old Hebrew Kabbalah, as part of the great universal religion of the remotest antiquity, and that's from J.D. Buck. To better understand Mr. Buck's statement, it is necessary to understand what the Kabbalah is. It's a kind of system of occult theosophy or mystical interpretation of the scriptures among Jewish rabbis and certain medieval Christians. It's also a secret or esoteric doctrine or science in general, occultism, mystic, art, mystery. Albert Pike went on to say about the Kabbalah, all truly dogmatic religions have issued from the Kabbalah and returned to it. Everything scientific and grand in the religious dreams of all the Illuminati, Jacob Boehm, Swedenborg, St. Martin, and others, is borrowed from the Kabbalah. All Masonic associations owe to it their secrets and their symbols. Once again, emphasizing the importance of where the origins came from. The symbolism of the master's degree, as we have it now, is necessarily restricted to the first temple and to the present life, although it reaches a climax in the assurance of a future life, all without the aid of the Bible, God, Jesus Christ, or the church. That was from John Hertel in the Masonic Bible. When Masons join a lodge, they worship Gautu, which they are told is the god of their own religion, but it's not true. When they have progressed, they are told that Gatu stands for the grand architect of the universe. Then they search for the true name of God, which they are told was lost. In the process, they are taught that the God of the Bible is the same as the old pagan gods. The Masonic doctrine teaches of the unity of God, that the names are of the different nature gods, Brahma, Baal, Om, An, Dagon, Osiris, Allah, Moloch, and Shango, along with Jehovah, all denote the generative, reproductive principles in nature. All religions are essentially the same in their ideas of the divine. It is for this express purpose that the simple Mason is instructed to look upon every man's religion as his own. According to the Bible, pagan gods are really demons. The conflict between Elijah and the prophets of Baal demonstrate that Baal worship and the worship of God of the Bible are incompatible. Christians are warned that they cannot worship both the God of the Bible and pagan gods. Now, what's interesting here is that every Christian holiday falls on a pagan day of worship. So, and then they're made to think that, well, the Christian one is the right one. Well, why would they steal the pagan holidays? Doesn't make sense. Just things to ponder, when we're reading this. The Royal Arch degree shows that Masons are really Baal worshipers. Most Masons do it without realizing it by participating in rituals that they really don't understand. However, a few top-level Masons, those in the highest authority, know exactly what they are doing. In Old Testament times, the Canaanites worshiped Baal by having men have sexual intercourse with temple prostitutes, both male and female, including children, and by burning babies alive. So, this brings us to modern day right now with, the elites, basically everybody in Hollywood that does this child trafficking and sacrifice, major politicians. We've heard stories about Hillary and Huma Aberdeen doing horrific things to children. So perhaps this is where the origins came from. Let's continue on. Membership in the 33rd degree is by invitation only. Initiation includes drinking wine out of a human skull and taking a solemn oath that their primary allegiance is to the 33rd degree Masons. Masons founded the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Church of Scientology. Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of Christian Science, was strongly influenced by the Freemasonry. Madame Blavatsky, the founder of Theosophy, was a Mason. Theosophy is foundational to much of the New Age movement. In 1951, a Mason named Gerald B. Gardner introduced Wicca to mainstream society. And this is going to be interesting to a lot of people because I know that there are a lot of Wiccans out there. Gardner was the first fully public witch of modern times. He made witchcraft more socially acceptable by changing its name to Wicca. and calling it an ancient religion. There is evidence that Gardner's witchcraft texts were his personal creation rather than being documents handed down from ancient tradition. This would make Wicca a modern Masonic invention rather than the resurrection of an ancient pagan religion. And what we're seeing here, just another note that I made, is the whole divide and conquer context that we have with Masonry, religion, the religions within themselves. And then when you look at the motto of the highest degree of Freemasonry, their motto is Ordo ab chaos, which means order out of chaos. I probably, because I'm doing this topic right now, probably making myself a target, but yeah, even so, I want people to know, no, I'm not suicidal. I am not going to kill myself. I'm, in the event that somebody gets pissed off about us putting this information out there, it's important. And
be careful driving fast then, Greg.
Right.
You tend to do that. You said you drive fast. You might want to be careful with that. You might be setting yourself up for something.
That's true. I have a car too that has been known in the past to be programmable to have car wrecks at inopportune times. Yeah. Anyway, just had to put that out there, and that is what it is. I am not suicidal. It's actually the opposite. I am looking forward to life and joining you guys every day here on In 5D. So without any further ado, actually, yeah, there is a little further ado I want to do. I just made a whole new batch of shirts over at, and you can find them at in5d.net. And they came out amazing. Matter of fact, here's a couple of I'll show you in a minute, but you can see some of them here. Like the ice dyes just look fantastic. The melt on the ice dyes is just stunning. It's unique on every one. So, and the other ones look fantastic as well, but especially the ice dyes. So anyway, I got a bunch of those up there. Please check that out at in5d.net. Also, you can help support this channel by simple donation of starting out at $111. You get notified of Zoom chats like this, and you'll be able to comment on the videos that I post of these chats on Patreon as well. And your name gets listed on the eternal Wall of Eternal Gratitude page. That's on In5D. And for $5.55, you get that plus ad-free articles and the Insiders Club private chat that's held on the first Wednesday of every month. And at 11:11, you get all that plus exclusive afterthoughts video material and exclusive mid-month energy reports. So all that on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/in5d. You can find us there. Okay, so we're gonna jump into it right now. So here is screen share. We're looking directly at right now the Luciferian doctrine. This is something we have talked about. Whoops. Oops, hang on. I lost my place, but yeah, we've talked about the decalcification of the pineal gland on In5D. Here it is. And of course, they're talking about it here in the Luciferian doctrine. So where did that idea come from? Why would many of us realize that something like this, the pineal gland decalcification, is an important thing to do when it's also listed in the Luciferian doctrine? This is what they say about it. The pineal gland is responsible for various biological functions, also giving you access to see pictures in your mind, imagination. Ability to visualize is the single most important power you're born with. But due to toxins, diets, and other elements, it's being calcified and it's lost. Despite its smallness, it's the most important gland of your body. Lack of bringing it back to default might produce a variety of physical and mental problems. For example, sleep disturbances, susceptibility to depression, and shallow happiness, memory loss and problems, disconnection from spirituality, and lack of power, either consciously known or not, and many more. Its decalcification is a must. But we all knew that, right? That's something that we've learned in this genre, that we've taught one another, is how to decalcify the pineal gland. You know, I've got numerous articles and I've taught people how to see through your third eye. It's really easy to do, but that's one of the, one of the tenets of Luciferianism. So what they're recommending here to decalcify the pineal gland, eat in the process 240 skate liver oil caps, 500 milligrams or more if needed, eating constantly an organic diet, only prevalently raw. See, and then you wonder why the rest of the world is sick when they hold back information like this from the general public, right? So you want to have that kind of diet to keep your pineal gland decalcified. It would be cleaned in time when you get to the number 3. Well, I'm not sure what that means. The heavy metal cleanse. And they teach you about these cleanses in this doctrine. It is forbidden for you to consume anything except organic diet starting now. Eliminate all toxins, prevalently fluoride, which add to the calcification. See in the next chapter. Eating organic is usually enough to sustain the clearness of it, and it's a requirement. So those at the highest levels know that fluoride is dangerous, obviously. But yet, they teach people, in medical school to give us fluoride in our toothpaste, to do fluoride cleanses in our mouths and stuff like that. When you go to the dentist, they add fluoride into like babies' products now as well, and just stumping our growth. And it's pathetic. I'm tired of them controlling us as they've been doing. And this is the occult information. Now you can do with this information what you want. It doesn't mean you're gonna worship Lucifer. This is just information, right? And it's nothing, like I said, that we haven't talked about on N5D. So here's some things to eliminate from your diet as well, or to limit your exposure from. Citric acid turns you basically into a non-brainer, as synthetic citric acid disrupts the delicate mechanisms of the communication in the brain. So stuff that you want to look at when you're checking out labels. This is why it's really important to go organic as much as possible. And then it goes on to talk about fluoride, which we all know. Forbidden is to use any toothpaste anytime. Wow. Actually, I use a fluoride-free toothpaste. It's a brand called Kiss My Face. Forbidden is to use also any substances or chemicals that become useless after ending treatment, as they would probably contribute to the overall toxicity. So I guess they're talking in that sense about any chemicals that become useless after ending treatment. So if you were prescribed something by Big Pharma, get rid of it. Once you got over that, we'll say amoxicillin, okay? Once you got over it, get rid of it, eliminate it. Fluoride is, for instance, present in psychotropic drugs as it enhances their work. I didn't know that. If you choose to buy mineral water, select one which hasn't been poisoned by fluoride. So you want to stay away from any synthetic taste enhancer, refined salt or refined sugar. You're best off with Himalayan sea salt. And that's what they're saying right here. Himalayan or unrefined sea salt are both viable choices. Mercury, which we all know are in vaccines, methanol, aluminum, cancerogenic, and toxic substances. I mean, all this stuff makes sense, doesn't it? And here we are, you know, with blindfolds on. This is the kind of stuff they should actually be teaching in schools. But yet, you know, you have to find it in some hidden doctrine that nobody ever sees. And then they have suggestions to make an effort to avoid synthetic substances. They're prevalent in many healthcare products. Use gray soap or vinegar to clean your area of living for dirty plates covered in fat only. Use very little of the cheapest ecological organic washing up liquid to clean them, although it's entirely possible to exclude it by using paper or foil instead of plates. Wow. Be wary with cotton, new clothes, or fabrics which may have been coated with chemicals or toxins. The last might damage and destroy your property. That's interesting. You know, just when I get these shirts, before I tie dye them, I wash them in Synthropol because it removes any kind of anything that might be on the shirt and gives you the best quality of shirt to dye. So it's funny. I didn't realize that I was also helping out people by getting rid of whatever might be on the shirt beforehand. So they're warning against plastic. Avoid to eat any food cooked in plastic wrappings. Always remove them first before cooking. Use 100% glass, wooden, or steel containers for storage. So Tupperware, like plastic Tupperware, no, don't do that. Be careful, be particularly thoughtful when using new, not tested, innovative materials which get in contact with foods. For example, knives, wrappings, or containers, as they might leach dangerous toxins to it, like saran wrap would be one of them. Expel, get rid of all clothes, bedding that are with the addition of synthetic fabrics. So only cotton, natural fabrics is what you should be wearing, according to them. Buy and wear only clothes made from 100% natural, best organic fabrics. And that extends also to furniture like beds, chairs, and sofas in the home. Do it all now. Okay, back in an hour. So are you guys finding this interesting? And is it something that you guys, I mean, so far, how can you argue against any of this? They're talking about radiation here. Let's keep scrolling. Here's another one, physical pain. What to do when you have physical pain. Physical exercise is required to clear your body out of toxins, and it's obligatory to perform at least in the amount specified. It would also allow you to work more efficiently and feel much better because of it, do it regularly. So we kind of get that message, but we don't do that, you know, and it's something that should be put out there more often. Like, you know, I should go, like today's a good example. Today it's probably upper 60s here in Florida, which is cool for Florida. And I didn't go to the beach. I didn't do my walk of gratitude. I didn't get any exercise in. But you'll feel better if you do. And it makes sense. And they go to talk about sleep. You need to sleep on hard surfaces like the floor. I like a firm mattress. So to me, it wouldn't be horrible. Sleep as such is much deeper, more refreshing, and shorter, saving valuable time, and allows you to feel much more powerful the next day due to moral energy compression because of the discomfort. I don't know about that one. Sleep from today on hard surfaces, the floor, and continue it infinitely. You would adapt in time. Use only 100% natural fabrics for bedding. We just discussed that. Forbidden is to use any drugs, pharmaceutical, for example, alcohol, nicotine, or coffee, chocolate, as they highly disrupt the sleep patterns. Well, so what they're telling you is you can't smoke, you can't drink, no coffee, no chocolate. A lot of that for me is easy to do. I could go the rest of my life without alcohol. I quit smoking. I don't drink coffee. I'm not big on chocolate. Yeah, I could do that. Wake up always immediately each morning and spend up to 5 minutes performing some basic exercises of your choice, push-ups, stretches, etc., to raise your body core temperature and get back fast to your activity. So what are you guys thinking in YouTube land? I posted the link. Yeah, someone's saying to post. I'll post it again. But I posted it. That was the first thing I posted on YouTube. So, I mean, so far, everything that we've covered, and we're going to cover a lot more, is stuff that I believe in, that I've written about, that I stand behind. Once again, this doesn't mean I stand behind the Luciferian doctrine or Lucifer himself. Not at all. It just means that some things, some tenets and beliefs I do agree with. Actually, there's quite a few of them that I agree with. So far, everything that I've read to you guys, I agree with. So here they're talking about light and Satan as the inner voices in you. It's you ever see those, something on the movies where you have like the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder? That's basically what they're saying right here. But they go on to say at the end, I was reading this, light represents the godlike state, Satan, darkness in your nature. You must beat your inner Satan first to get what's desired, associated with the inner will to take or receive for self. So it is that battle that goes on. And, you've heard that, your inner demons, we've all heard that, things that like addictions that we were talking about. Everyone's got those things. So, and what they're calling it is those things are basically, according to this, is, Satan inside, and driving people to do certain things that maybe they shouldn't have done. It's all about the choices they make. Here, there's something simple and interesting. It's under understanding choices and shaping your destiny. Well, what they end up talking about is chakras of all things, right? And they cover all the chakras and what each one of the chakras means in different steps and layers. And once you get to the crown chakra, they show you, you know, what happens within that process: spiritual pleasure, spiritualization of feelings, systemization of spirituality, search for the spiritual harmony and connections, understanding the philosophy of spiritual development, ability to give spiritual advice, and lastly, a teacher of the highest ideals. Who can argue with something like that, you know? And you'll find that chart once again in the Luciferian Doctrine. I had to put it in Paint Shop and turn it around to show you guys. So, yeah, they talk about physical pain. We covered that. And cleansing, parasite cleanse. Okay, who doesn't want to remove parasites from their body, right? I mean, I'm all in. And what they're saying is use colloidal silver, which I do. Every day when I brush my teeth, I rinse my mouth with colloidal silver and then I spit it out. But I'm still absorbing it through my gums when I do it that way. And then I take a chug of it. And once again, I rinse it in my mouth, but I swallow it the second time. So, yeah. So if you're looking to get rid of parasites, and I was just doing that on my own. I never read anywhere that somebody said, here, when you brush your teeth, rinse with colloidal silver. I'm thinking I want to rinse with colloidal silver because I have shitty water here in Sarasota. It's fluoridated water. Why rinse my mouth with fluoridated water? So, you know, I said, screw it. I'll just rinse with colloidal silver. I buy it by the gallon. So use colloidal silver starting from the dose of less than 2 milliliters or 0.07 ounces up to 5 milliliters and 0.17 ounces together with the cat's claw. I'm not sure what that is. Cat's claw. I'm going to have to look that one up. For 4 days in a row. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to look that. I'm writing that one down. Cat's claw. Because for me, that's just the only thing I have to incorporate when I brush my teeth. Great. Take the cat's claw and the colloidal silver. Good to go. Repeat it every time you would ingest any genetically modified foods or processed foods. Wow. So if you're eating, well, you want to do it the first thing in the morning. Then for lunch, let's say you had a slice of pizza, you'd have to do it then because you're eating processed foods and GM foods. And if you have anything for dinner that is processed or GM, you'd have to do it once again. But you can get rid of these parasites. And I'm sure Andy Monks would agree, go on a fruitarian diet, at least for a short period of time to detoxify your body. Oh boy. Cancer annihilation protocol. Okay. Why haven't we been shown this or taught this, right? Stop to eat and drink completely anything right now, as the foods and drinks you're probably consuming are a fuel for the cancer, and it would kill you if not cease immediately. You're only allowed to drink from now on pure water from all the time present. Know that any deviation from the treatment might result in your death. You've started already a 10-day starvation, a fast. Okay, so 10-day fast. Time when you absolutely only drink pure water. So continue it up to this day and in the time of it by the below. Organic bitter apricot seeds. Yeah, we've heard about that. You know, of course, it's always debunked as a cure for cancer, right? I think it's called Laetrile. Organic flax seeds, vitamin B17. Yeah, and they call us crazy when we talk about it, but it's written here in the Luciferian Doctrine that these are all things that you can help to get rid of cancer. Apricot seeds. Okay. It goes on to say, finding a partner requirements for a happy living. So, I mean, there's all sorts of things in here that you can find. It talks about the zodiac, astrology. So I'm going to stop the screen share. I'm going to open up the chat room here on Zoom. I'll paste the link into if you would like to join us. So, what do you guys think so far?
It sounds like a lot of the stuff that I have just kind of, you know, have been following the last several years now, because, you know, very interesting. And I just wanted to throw out there, I was watching Oprah's Super Soul Sunday this morning, and they had a priest on at a church in Pasadena who had some interesting thoughts about, you know, Satan and God, and that actually Satan is in us. I mean, if the kingdom of God is in us, then everything is in us. You know, if we're all living expressions of the source, the creator, the God who created everything, then if he's omnipotent, if he's everywhere, if he knows everything, if there's nowhere that he's not, he's in us, and therefore everything's in us, and good and evil is in us. And it's that fight in us, because he actually came out and said on television, no, Satan doesn't exist. We create him. He's in us. So yeah. That's something I really think is really, you know, it really resounds with me. So
yeah, and that's exactly what they were saying. Satan is within. It's the temptations that we allow ourselves to fall into that bring us to wherever it is we may end up going. I know that, you know, at a young age, a good friend of mine, Troy, got me started smoking cigarettes at 18. He was smoking them. I was bored, and I said, all right, I'll try it. And yeah, I thought it was cool. It wasn't. You know, I found myself, even when I got bored, I'm like, I wasn't addicted at the time, but I'm like, what the hell? I'll just have a cigarette right now. But then it becomes the addiction, and it's horrible. And it's what a timely topic right now, when we were talking about for the past week or so about addictions, how important it is
to lose our addictions, because, you know, we're waking up. I mean, it's happening. I mean, I came to this route more from looking at science and, you know, the quantum physics, and the fact that quantum physics and spirituality, to me, they seem to complement each other entirely. You know, I mean,
oh, yeah.
The things that I was taught in school about what matter's composed of, now we know it's not. You know, there's more empty space in everything than there is matter, you know, and that's the kind of a concept we weren't even taught back in the 60s when I was in school, you know. So, but I'm still getting there, you know. I mean, like, I know I went more of the follow the rules, because, you know, I was raised, being raised in the South as a Southern Baptist is an entirely different thing than anything else I've ever heard of, because, you know, we're taught to fear God. You know, if you're a God-fearing person, you're okay, you know. And it's like, wait a minute, that never made sense to me, you know. I mean, like, if God loves me, why should I be scared of him? You know, I mean,
yeah.
So that always was something I was thinking about, and all, you know, that little grain of sand in my mind, that little, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense, has led me to where I am now, you know, where I believe I'm heading in the right direction. I'm on my path, you know, and I believe the future is so bright, I'm going to have to wear sunglasses, you know.
Hey, I'm digging the Beacon of Light tie-dye shirt.
Oh yeah, man, I love it. You know, it gets noticed when I go out, you know, let's put it that way. And, oh, something weird today too. There was a freaking fire in one of the apartments in my apartment complex. And, you know, I knew something was wrong. I didn't hear the trucks though. That was really strange. I didn't hear the sirens or anything. I was scooting out to take my garbage out and there's like 6 fire trucks and smoke pouring out of a building. But, you know, the community, everybody was like, hey, let's, you know, like I went and took some water out there to make sure everybody was good, you know, and we're all coming together and we're all like, you know, hey, let's help these people, you know, because I mean, this could have been us, you know, and everybody's starting to understand that, you know, there's really no difference between me and you, you know, it's just we're different expressions of God and we got to help each other, you know?
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a cool thing to happen today when just my little community here, you know, I was able to go out and hopefully spread a little bit of light and love. And, you know, I could see it passed along to everybody, you know?
Yeah. And just doing that, you know, bringing water, that act of kindness to do that generates a level of vibration that's picked up by other people.
And, you know, once we all start vibrating at a higher vibration, I mean, it's, you know, it's going to be unstoppable. It'll be like that episode, you know, you've been talking about that episode on Star Trek, The Next Generation, where the people basically ascend, you know, yeah, I watched that and I really, wow, that is what's happening now. You know, they're doing everything they can to keep us from getting there.
Yep.
But we're getting there.
And you look at this stuff that's in this doctrine and all stuff that I agree with. Well, I mean, not all the stuff, but like I said, you know, what I read right there, I agree with 100% of it.
I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm Mr. Southern meat and potatoes, and I'm eating tofu, and I'm eating like, you know, I have a whole I have a whole pantry full of canned veggies and stuff that I'm probably going to donate now because I'm buying fresh and making my own. You know, I don't want all those chemicals. I'm drinking water. I quit using, I mean, I use Tom's of Maine fluoride-free toothpaste, you know, stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
5 years ago, that wasn't me, you know, I was totally different. So, you know, it's a process and it's happening, you know, stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll go ahead and let somebody else talk now.
That's okay. It's okay. Remember those commercials where the toothpaste commercials where they put on this big swath of toothpaste on a toothbrush? I use a tiny little amount, enough that this basically on the top of just the top part of the toothbrush, and that's it. And that's plenty to brush my teeth.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, I've got a whole mouthful of fillings from the early 60s that I got to get rid of, you know, because I mean, it's nothing but poison in my body. And I grew up in Birmingham, which they used to brag about how they put fluoride in the water and it was the safest water in the country to drink, blah, 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 you know. Well, no wonder I had to leave this country and go overseas and get exposed to, like, you know, the reason why like Germans drink a lot of beer is because the water over there for centuries was bad, you know, because they didn't have sanitation and everything, you know. So I started eating more organic, real foods, and eventually, you know, it helped, and here I am. So anyway, somebody else say something. Come on, you can do it. I'm shy, believe it or not.
I am too. Well, what if this was Lucifer's, the Luciferian doctrine? What if it was Lucifer's offering to get back in the good graces of Creator? To put out the truth, to give something back to humanity to help them. I'll put that out there for anyone that's watching right now. What do you think?
Boy. Lucifer.
Kind of like the whole dark crystal. I mean, Serpent kind of talks on that point. No, I'm muted.
Okay. She is muted now. You weren't, but I unmuted everyone.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, Lucifer, I think, is just an angel. I mean, like you said in the Bible, there, he's the well, I mean, you know, in the story of Job, he's the naysayer, right? He's saying, no, man isn't all that great. If you test him, he's kind of a I want to say a little bit of in judgment of man. He doesn't think we're so great, whereas the angels usually think we're awesome to be down here and actually working this out. My take on it.
Well, I'm going to be posting. I didn't post the link in Zoom for that doctrine. There it is. And I noticed that there was a comment here too. And thank you, Phil. But there was a comment from Stephanie saying that cat's claw is used for Lyme and
co-infections. Yeah. It's interesting, everything that you were reading from this doctrine. I have chronic Lyme and co-infections, and that is part of what they're having people do, what you were talking about. I've prescribed silver, 3/4 of a tablespoon in the morning and at night, and I'm putting it in my eyes because it's I have it everywhere, neuro Lyme, you name it. But detoxing, the glass jars, of course, but there's a fabulous Dr. Rawls has a book, Unlocking Lyme, mentioning so many of the things that you've just read off of this doctrine. And I also wonder, talking about nature of man, Lucifer, a fallen angel, I think there's a lot of male ego in history that wanted to take control and have politics in it, but it could also Lucifer be equal with the ego mind? We want to get out of the ego mind. And I'm also reading, I think, is it Elaine Pagel's, Pagel, right now, Adam, Eve, and the Serpent. Very interesting and ties into what you're talking about.
Just to get back with and thank you, Stephanie, I had no idea what cat's claw was. I'm sorry that you had to go through what you're going, but you're also confirmation on what we've been reading about. Phil in the chat room, Tracy T Light saying, I agree with Phil. I was told that we will be teaching the star beings about our experiences on Earth.
Yeah, I think we will be.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I've interviewed Jordan Maxwell 3 times. And on one interview, he inferred that the Roman Catholic Church is the Antichrist. It's an institution. It's not a person. It's the institution of the Roman Catholic Church. And as we know, everything is upside down and backwards in this society.
Yeah.
So is it possible that this is what we're supposed to be following? Because I'm getting a heck of a lot more out of this than I did out of the Bible.
Well, Greg, I'm going to have to weigh in on this one. So what we have in the Bible was rewritten in the Council of Nicaea in 400 AD. And so you kind of have to look at the Bible, any of these doctrines, and discern the baby from the bathwater, if you will. Or there's gems in it. You don't want to throw it all away. You want to take what's good from here, what's good from there, what's good from there, wherever you're finding your information. You'll find tidbits within it that are, if you listen to the 0 point here, you'll find that you'll know which are true for you. So I would say you have to take everything and tested against your bell of truth. I'm going to put it that way.
Well, yeah, the Bible does teach a wonderful story of astro-theology. As a matter of fact, in one of my interviews with Jordan, he was talking about how he was interviewing this guy who was going for his doctorate in theology, and he was given full access to the Dead Sea Scrolls. And as he learned more about what religion is about, he became more and more depressed, ended up becoming an alcoholic, and disavowed religion because what he learned was that it's all a story. It's astro-theology. None of it was real. It was a story. And you look at it, it's a beautiful story too. You know, what the golden calf represented the age of Taurus, the blowing on the ram's horn, the age of Aries, the two fish, you know, and the bread, Pisces, carrying the pitcher of water to the house, Aquarius. It's in perfect astro-theological order. And that's it. I mean, to think that Noah got 2 of every animal. He didn't get penguins and polar bears, sea lions from Antarctica, you know. And if he did, all the animals on the planet are the products of incest. I mean, there's so much, and people don't question any of this stuff either. And it's like, oh yeah, he did that. The ark is in Mount Ararat. No, it's not. Good, find it. Show me.
Well, if you look into Sitchin's translation of the Sumerian tablets, he's saying that this, let's see, Enki, who was the first one that came in, and he came in from the water. So they landed a ship in the water, came in a wetsuit or something like that, and he, you know, he's like that's where you get that ram, goat, fish analogy. But I mean, that whole story, the whole Bible, creation story and all that, that's in the Sumerian tablets. So, you know, so we're translating a ancient text into Arcadia, then into Hebrew, into English. So several times we can mess that story up in the translations. Plus, like I said, in the Council of Nicaea, they did this. They set that whole story up to fit their
Yeah.
Constantine did that. Yeah.
They kept out the Gnostic Gospels, which a lot of Luciferian doctrine seems to be on. You know, they did away with it. So you're right, Phil. I mean, that's exactly what happened. You know.
Well, the Gnostics texts are being tied to Luciferianism. This is all a control mechanism.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand. I understand that Mary Magdalene apparently wrote a book also, you know, and it was excluded from the Bible. You know, I mean, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Right.
This guy I was looking at on TV this morning, he had an interesting idea. You know, I mean, if you look at the Bible, it's actually Jesus a lot of times is being misquoted, because he didn't say, like, the guy who he cured from leprosy, or the man who couldn't walk, rise and walk. He didn't say, I did this. He said, your faith has cured you. If you believe that you can be cured, you can be cured. He didn't say, I did it. He said, your faith cured you. So what he's saying is that actually we all have the ability to cure ourselves. We all have the ability we have, you know, incredible powers, you know, like,
yeah,
we have the ability to do things mentally, because that's how powerful we are as divine sparks of God. You know, that's what he's saying. So I think a lot of people who have an anti-Christian, you know, thought, well, yeah, you know, that's true, because the doctrine, what Jesus said, was taken and used in ways to control people. You know, that's what the Catholic Church, I think, was all about. So anyway, you know, where I'm coming from is I think you can be religious and spiritual at the same time, you know, because for me, it kind of gives me an anchor, you know, it's something I'm familiar with, but yet I understand the spiritual part. Yes, you know, there is a knowing, there is a higher self, you know, I am immortal and I exist in many dimensions at one time kind of thing. So that's kind of like where I'm coming from with all this. And it helps me get to where I am now, which is like, you know, the things that I'm doing, they have improved my life. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, I've gotten my diabetes more under control than I ever have in my life. And eventually I'm going to cure it, I do believe, using organic foods and healing, energy healing, sound healing, you know, vibrations, Reiki, things like that. So those kind of things have really improved my life in a big way in the last year, really.
If it's any inspiration, Diane is saying on YouTube that she cured herself. She was diagnosed with MS and unable to walk. She went inside of herself and healed herself, and now she can walk and doesn't need any meds.
That's what we can all do. That's what I'm going to do. I mean, you know, I have a little music studio here behind me that I wanted to build. I mean, I've never let you guys know I'm kind of a musician too. I write, I play, I sing, I do all kinds of stuff, you know, and I haven't been able to do it in the last couple of years because I've been so involved in drama going on around me that I drew into my life. And I finally realized about 2 months ago, okay, stop. And that's when, you know, Greg, you said the surrender is so important. It is. I just said,
Absolutely.
okay, I can't run this bus anymore. I've got too many balls in the air right now. I've got so many health issues. I got so many financial issues and everything. I give up. And as soon as I did that, like I said, you know, I've been needing a mobility scooter for a while now. Well, gosh, I got two now. They just showed up, you know, the universe gave them to me because I asked for them. Here's my music studio, you know, so we can all do this, you know, we can cure ourselves if we all just get together, and it works. And I don't want to, you know.
I'm seeing, you know, this third dimensional reality as the end of religion. This is it. This is the last time you'll have to experience religion.
Well,
because
I mean, what
we're moving beyond it.
What religion is to me, it's not a doctrine we live by. What religion is encouraging us to seek God, to seek source, to seek. And frankly, you know, I believe in the Bible, there are actually references to meditation, to looking for the answer inside, you know, and a lot of it is metaphor, because if people aren't ready to hear the message, the messenger usually winds up getting stoned to death, you know? That's the way I think anyway.
Well, a lot of people would want to get stoned nowadays, but
well, not that way, no, you know, but yeah, you know, I mean, it's like, don't judge. Everybody judges everybody, you know, and it's like, really, that's something that if you listen to your higher self, because when you're judging somebody else, if you believe we're all connected, then you're actually judging yourself, you know? I mean, it's like Jung's, you know, it's like psychiatrists say, the things that you don't like in yourself, you put on other people, you know?
or it's mirrored back to you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you know? So, I mean, that's, you know, just saying the Luciferian Doctrine down here in Alabama, people would like want to burn you just for saying those words, you know, because I'm in the Bible Belt, you know, I mean, come on. But
yeah, but how can you argue with anything I read? I couldn't.
Well, I mean, it's exactly what I have I mean, I've known all my life is what I needed to do. I mean, when don't you get the knowing when, oh yeah, man, that's right. The light bulb comes on and it's like, that makes complete and total sense. Well, all this does to me now, you know?
If you change the title of the doctrine and pass it around to other people, they'd all embrace it.
Yes.
If Dr. Phil was pushing this as his latest book, everybody in the country would be doing it next week, you know?
The Luciferian Doctrine.
Well,
you might get better traction with the Gnostic, actually, doctrine.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, you're right. The name, it would scare a lot of people off, but honestly, from everything I read, there's
It's
a lot of
exactly
truth in
what
there.
we've all been looking at. What we need to do is what we've been saying. We need to, you've been the same. I understand now that I have been getting, communications. I just thought they were like dreams and things that didn't mean anything, but I mean, I gotten the same kind of feeling that everybody else has, first of all, something wonderful is about to happen. I mean, it's just going to be mind-blowingly awesome when it does occur. And it might not occur during my lifetime. If that's the case, no big deal, because, for one thing, I'm immortal. So what does it matter? I'm still going to get there. But, to go from where we are to where we could be, just think of our potential and, why all of a sudden now everybody's waking up and getting on board this train that we're on, because we are on this path, and we're all journeying together, and it's like, I'm just so thankful I found you guys, because here in Birmingham, Alabama, sometimes if I start talking about the higher self, they, oh, okay, here's your tinfoil helmet, and,
Yeah, we were talking earlier about the Sumerians and the cuneiform. What if the Sumerian cuneiform was also just stories that were handed down for generations until they finally figured out a way to preserve the story on cuneiform, but it was told so many times over and over that it got watered down and wasn't actually accurate?
Yeah, well, I mean, in high school, one of my teachers did a great experiment. She walked over to one student and whispered in their ear, and then told them to pass the message along.
Right.
The original message was, we get to take a break in 10 minutes. And by the time I got around the end of the room, it was like, the building's on fire. We have to leave now, That's just what we do,
See, I would have changed it to, on our break, we can just go home.
that would have gotten around correctly,
Yeah, I remember that same experiment, Jerry. It impressed me. It really impressed me. And yeah, so we had an oral tradition. Of course, what they would do to preserve an oral tradition is they would put it into prose or poetry, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can remember that easier than you can remember just a long diatribe on so-and-so. So it's always in the form of the poem. So we're talking metaphors, analogies, and you're working things to set up a rhythm, right? So that's what how we transmitted information before writing.
There once
Not
was a
only
girl
that,
from
I
Nantucket.
I think like things like music, like dancing and drumming and stuff like that. That was a way of, self-expression. That was a way of passing on information, and a way of maybe, helping people be joyful. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's all those arts are the way we convey information. We convey a lot of information that way. And really, when you get back to it, letters, the language that we're using now is also a control system in a way.
Explain that.
Well, I firmly believe that every sentence out there is a spell of a kind to try to influence people.
Mm-hmm.
So, the basics of magic is intent, will, and emotion. So anytime anybody's speaking passionately, they're doing a spell. They're trying to control you. I'm trying to control you right now. I'm trying to get my message out to you.
That's
right?
it.
But I agree. I agree with you. So it worked.
Well, also, look at something like Big Brother, like 1984, where basically if they remove the words from the language that describe the concept, they were trying to remove the concept. They removed freedom from the vocabulary. And I hate to say it, but like today, political correctness, to me, it's Big Brother trying to make us lose concepts and just think one thing, you know? Everybody got to think this one thing. And if you don't think it, you're a heretic, you know? I think that's a bad thing. I think we're getting past it. I think those of us who are looking for the truth, we kind of understand now that, like the media, man, like, you know, I used to be in it. If it bleeds, it leads, you know, the car crash, the killing, that's what leads the headlines, not the fireman saved a kitten in a tree today, you know, that doesn't ever lead the news. So yeah, you know, that's a form of control that we actually kind of put on ourselves and we got to get out of, I think, you know?
Yeah, we definitely do. We need to be more loving and kind and compassionate, right? I mean, this is, I would say, the dominant message from the higher realms, if there are such a thing. You know, it may be just us, you know, it's all us. It's all our collective consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all about love, I think. It's all about learning unconditional love, because, you know, when I had my spiritual awakening, it was just this massive, complete and total blast of to me, it was like a nuclear bomb went off in my heart. It was like wham. And, you know, ever since that's happened, I want to get back to that state. And I keep realizing that everything that's bad that has been happening to me is because I'm not focusing on keeping myself at a loving vibration. You know, everybody needs to raise their vibration. And once we get to a certain level, it's just going to be like, that'll be the tipping point, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, self-love, and then from that comes a love of all others, right? Once you actually truly love yourself, you can't help but love everybody else. And once you forgive yourself, you can't help but forgive everybody else. So it really starts with you. This is why they say be the change that you want to be.
Yeah.
Because if you start affecting that, then you affect everything.
You're so right, Phil. You're so right. I mean, that has been the lesson that I have learned in like the last 6 months, is that, you know, learning to love myself and forgive myself has enabled me to forgive everybody and love everybody. And to me, that was the key, you know, and it's something I still struggle with every day. You know, I still get down. I'm not perfect. But now when I have a negative, when I know I'm feeling down, I do I listen to my man Eckhart's Holy. I step back a little bit. I look at what I'm feeling. I wonder why. And then I try to love it and love what's happening, because it's my life and I made it happen, you know? And if you love yourself enough, you find you have enough love to give everybody. And that's, to me, that's magic.
There's another excerpt I want to just show from the Luciferian Bible doctrine.
I'm sorry, I got off topic, didn't I? My bad.
Okay. No, it's okay. We're all over the place here anyway. Understanding choices and shaping your destiny. So what you see in this reality is merely an effect of your core beliefs, because as what you believe, you see in your reality. What happens in your world, either good or bad, is a mere reflection of the person you are or were to others. Therefore, if you've not conquered your nature yet, you would get what you're given or caused and give or cause currently upon others. And this is what we were talking about beforehand last week about mirroring, or the week before, you know, how oftentimes, you know, we'll have mirrored back to us what we need to learn. And once again, this is basically what they're talking about in this. For instance, if people constantly attack you, you might attack them in the past, as it's brought always to you a few years time delay to keep the grand illusion alive. So actually it's happening more faster and faster, quicker and quicker.
Yeah.
The karma is coming back. But this, once again, it just goes to show you that what they're teaching here is stuff that we could all basically agree upon. It's fascinating material that, you know, just to look at objectively and use your own discernment. But I'm not saying, you know, like I said, I've mentioned it several times. Don't, you know, I don't believe in the Luciferian practice itself, but I agree with a lot of the tenets that they're talking about. It's hard to argue them. And I'm not Luciferian. And I'm not a Satanist. So.
Well, I mean, the control people have used those terms to control us, right? So everything that is attributed to Satan is anything that they didn't want us, that would give us freedom or question anything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want us to be the questioner of these religions. And that's what Lucifer was guilty of, was questioning God's will, right? Supposedly about man. That he questioned whether man was worthy of this accolade that the angels are supposed to give him. So that was his sin, supposedly. So really, I mean, and I don't know. I haven't.
Everything's upside down and backwards. So
Right.
what are we supposed to believe?
Well, we're supposed to believe what is true to our heart.
Exactly. Our own discernment.
Well, and I'm a little, you know, the term belief, to me, belief should be a tool. It shouldn't be something that rules your life. You should hold your beliefs lightly and use them. Well, this is the doctrine of a chaos magician, right? Is that you adopt the beliefs and pantheon that's going to work for this particular spell. And you hold that conviction totally. And then you put your intent, your will, and your emotions into it. And you make a sigil, a symbol.
Right.
And you do this ritual where you're generating a lot of emotion, a lot of emotional power. And that's how you do your spell. So that's really the essence of it all, really, when you get it right down. We are those co-creators. Here are some of the things that we can do to do these creations, but it's intent, will, and emotions. Those are the trifecta that manifest into this 3D world.
So what about people like Aleister Crowley? You know, how do they tie into this?
Well, Crowley was kind of a messed up dude. I mean, really. His parents are the ones that put the moniker of 666 on him, or the devil, because he was into magic, really. Though he did do some pretty messed up shit. There at Loch Ness, that one, I forget the name of the place, but basically he did this Babylonian rite, but he didn't complete it.
Yeah.
So he drew in this, for lack of a better word, a demonic entity, or it could be just a ancient Catholic entity. And basically nobody's been able to live in that place since. In fact, I think they've actually torn it down now.
Didn't Jimmy Page buy one of his houses?
Actually, Jimmy Page bought Aleister Crowley's house. He was a big cabal. He was big into that stuff, you know. Yeah. And you know, people like Aleister Crowley, like the guy who wrote the Satanic Bible, Anton LaVey. I think that what they do is they look at mysticism or mystical or magic or the power of the mind to try to control other people. That's what they're all about, is to get rich and to try to enrich themselves and to try to basically establish a cult of followers, you know, instead of actually, you know, being on the right path. They take a turn to, you know, it's like Star Wars. There's the Force, which is the good stuff, you know, the higher self, being able to manifest things. And then there's the dark side, you know,
Still
that's
the Force,
dark
though.
side. Because for everything, there's got to be balance, you know, there's got to be a yin and a yang, there's got to be a dark and a light. So if there's going to be ultimate good, there has to be ultimate bad somewhere to contrast it, you know. Otherwise, how do you know you have ultimate good? So to me, that's those kind of people are just kind of, they've been misled, you know. It's like they're the 20th level Freemasons. They're pretty high up there. They kind of can do things. They're exploring themselves, but yet they still are following a false path.
It's interesting that go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I can wait.
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead.
My first time speaking here, but I
Hey,
really
Nathan.
like you. Yeah, it's good to see everyone here. So you guys are really talking my language about this. So like Anton LaVey, Aleister Crowley, the topic of the Luciferian Doctrine. I think it really means, Lucifer means like light bringer, and it really, as a interpretation to the Bible, is brought as a light, like, you know, like given to the light, where in the Hebrew tradition, it's actually taught as Satan was more of the things that would block you, or things that would be in your way. And they would, I'm not sure, I couldn't actually find the translation, but they were actually referencing a section in the Bible saying there's a Satan in the way, there's an amastama, and I don't know if that's the right way of saying Hebrew, but something that would block from the path. And I feel like that's what we, you know, go through in life. There's a lot of blocks, there's a lot of Satans in life to avoid, you know, the 7 deadly sins of Satanism. And then when it comes to you know, control, so just because people look at the word Lucifer and like, oh, it's right there, it's just the moment you say Lucifer, people just go off on this tangent saying, oh, it's all this other stuff. But when it could actually really mean, you know, Lucifer, you look at the actual etymology of Lucifer, the light bringer and such.
Yeah, and he's only mentioned like 4 times in the Bible, and there's nothing negative that's mentioned about him in the Bible.
No. Yeah, furthering the control of words, the level, the word, you know, Satan, you know, like I said before, you can actually go about many different words that, you know, go along the lines of English and, you know, back into Latin etymology of all that. And so really, really pay attention to the words people say. And it's almost like you can, you know, sort of twist the words around, like the word, what was it? Phil, you said the word believe, and it was like, if you can twist it a little bit, you can go in one way for it. You can say be live, or you can say he live, or, you know, he's lying, or something like that. You can, you know, go around saying
Bless would be another one. Be less or bless.
Be less. Yeah, see, you go the other way.
Be less, or you can be blessed.
Be less, be blind. Yeah, and with Aleister Crowley, I do agree with the, you know, both and scenario of, you know, dark and light. He's like a gray wizard, or like the gray Jedi, so to speak. He's, you know, holding both swords, the red sabers, and there's a lot that he did, and there's a lot that, you know, I definitely don't agree with. And with Anton LaVey, I feel like he was more like a front man. Like I bet he was like put in charge to like write the book, because it's more like he needed someone to be like, this is like entry-level Satanism is really what that's all about. But like the real Satanists and like the real tenets, far beyond what the Bible, the Satanic Bible, actually says.
What do you consider yourself?
Currently, I know I definitely believe in higher spirit, that's for sure. I never really was religious when I was born, so like really when I was actually I remember this when I was like 10 or 11. I was looking at myself, I'm like, like I see a lot of Christians around here, a lot of, you know, people religious. I'm like, I don't consider myself religious, like I even acknowledge myself for that, but I was born into a religious family. Do you know anything about Reverend Moon and the Moonies, the Unification Church?
I've heard of them. It's been a while.
Yeah. So
I encountered those guys in the Atlanta airport in 1978. I was in uniform, unfortunately, so they followed me.
yeah. So the interesting thing of that is I'm a product of that. So my family, my dad and my mom both were joined the Unification Church, like in their own respective areas. They got married by the man himself, the proposed second coming, and that was, me. My parents had 3 kids. I was the middle child.
Is your name
So-
Jesus?
No, my name
So,
is
Nathan.
But yes, the hair is still there. I'm actually 6'3". You can't really tell, but I'm a really tall person as well. When it comes to levels of religion, I've only seen like bits and pieces of Sunday school, and ever since then I've just been doing my own thing. And they actually found a lot of corruption in that religious sect. So he had a lot of children. He had 13 children actually, and the last child is actually still around, working on his own version of that religion, of the unification religion. He's actually out in Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they did a documentary on it. But I'm not going to go into all that. So what I feel like on top of that, like I look back into that, like they have really good principles of Christianity and really very hard stuff on a lot of other things I don't agree with. But I feel like a lot of the things that bring up to, I believe in versions of animism. I believe in versions of pre-Christian knowledge, like Gnosticism. I was even reading an article on what early forms of paganism were, and it's very similar to a lot of the stuff that I do now. And I've gone to festivals before, and people have done very top-notch pagan rituals, but at the same time, like I've done simple gratitude blessings and ceremonies like sweat lodges and things like that. So
Why do you think Christianity co-opted all the pagan holidays?
let's see. I feel like, okay, here's something. So why do you think we still celebrate Halloween? And Christians and all these other, pretty much everyone in America still celebrates Halloween. But that's actually a very satanic, quote unquote pagan, really like holiday. It's the high holiday of Holomass. Why do you think no Satanist will ever celebrate Good Friday? No Satanist will be in their right mind, celebrate Good Friday. But and again, it's co-opted. So they're really just trying to insert themselves into the scenario. They're trying to control, like it says, with words and with candy and sort of like just changing a little bit of the story.
How they tried to convert the pagans originally to become Christians.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna co-opt your holidays. Also,
Well, that happened with Saturnalia, which was a week long of debauchery and drunkenness and stuff like that. And the Christians said, you can still have your Saturnalia, but we're also going to celebrate the birth of Jesus on this day, the 25th, which we all know was a lie, and the actual birth date of Jesus. But it was a co-opting of Saturnalia, which the worship of Saturn, for that week in Christmas, during Christmas.
Well, really, it's more than just Christmas. Easter is a subversion of the spring equinox.
Sure.
May Day.
Every one of them.
Still celebrated. About the only one that doesn't correlate real well is the summer solstice and Mabon, or the spring or fall equinox. But then we got Halloween, as he pointed out, is a pagan ritual called Samhain. So these are all harvest rituals, really. When you get down to them, they're not satanic.
Yeah, earth-based.
Right. Yeah, it's honoring Mother Earth. I mean, this is my take on it. But then, I'm pretty eclectic.
Well, even the Native Americans had that grounded kind of appreciation for nature and, something, similar to paganistic ritual, but in their own way.
Right. Yeah. They most assuredly did. In fact, a lot of pagans kind of co-opt a lot of the Native American ideas, really, which is a big deal in there. They, they chide each other for it. And the Native Americans probably chide us for it too. They're not happy with us co-opting this stuff. But everybody's got a shamanic beginning to their. I don't care where you come from. You all started out with a tribal and a shaman.
Yeah.
So what else you got there, Nathan?
Yeah, so let's see. I think a lot of the connections really, like I was looking up again pagan stuff, and I was talking to a good friend of mine. He actually hosts a podcast called what's it called? The Wizard Factory. And a lot of what he said to me was, like he has a thing called an initiation package, and it talks a lot about aligning oneself to the seasons. And I'm, mentioned, I've listened to a couple of these talks and a lot of your articles talking about, going back to Earth cycles, being with Earth as we're here on this Earth. There's cycles that we get to align ourselves with. Today is a full moon, a new moon, I think, and
Right.
Celebrating things like harvests and being grateful for all those things will just come back and multiplies. It's not like so funny enough, actually. I don't know exactly what happened, but it was like during the 2016 elections, there was a full moon, and then Trump himself said something going on, and it just amplified it all. Like, the moon was just full and everyone was all riled up, and just, the next day was, election day. So they're really quantifying each step. It's being used. It's like once one looks and see the different cycles of different things, you can actually find it. So I wanted to get back to you on that. I'm still looking up. There's this reference to the specific dates, like May Day, Imbolc, the certain high holidays. There's an actual pattern in cycles throughout the dates, and that's why I think we have the calendar that we have. In connecting to each other holiday, there's a certain pattern that actually arises, and I'm gonna see if I can find it. But
Well, basically, each of these, the high holidays and the cross quarter days, are all 6 weeks apart, just about exactly.
Why don't we have a 13 moon calendar instead of this bullshit calendar that we have? That's directly not in harmony with nature.
Well, this is another control thing, but I'm going to blame this one on the Sumerians. They're the ones that came up with the 60-12 configuration for things. Yeah, I mean, because we probably spent 200,000 years honoring the moon cycles. I would say. I'm not
Well,
sure.
we went from the Julian calendar, which was less accurate than the Gregorian, but the Gregorian is still, there's got to be a way. And I would think many of us would probably agree that the Earth at one point was on a 360-day year, but something happened. We had the wobble and kind of threw us off for an additional 5 years or 5 days.
It's funny that
within the year, and it took us out of natural synchronicity.
Or it was Nibiru.
Or Malbec.
Right. It's funny that you mentioned that, Greg. I actually have a moon calendar here. This one was from Kickstarter. It's it ends in March, so it's like I gotta adjust myself so it ends right around.
You're in harmony though with that calendar.
Yeah, and it was really helpful because I'm just like, oh, today's a new moon. I'm like, just flip the calendar. Every new moon, you flip the calendar, and so it's just what do you bring in? What do you like that? It's a daily. I think a lot of times we just don't understand it. Like, I bet once we all align ourselves with calendars like this and get ourselves in sync with the time, like it's all arbitrary. At the same time, once we see stuff that's objective away from us, we don't create that kind of stuff. So if it's something outside of us, in duality perspective, we get to see, oh, okay, there's certain things that go on here. There's star maps and stuff like that going on. That's like we get to look at the stars. And in conjunction with that, we get to, have certain cycles and have practice. And I feel like with practice comes, better understanding and more connections with that. So we get to, dive into all that. And I feel, I don't know if it was you, but I didn't actually catch your last video, on the Mercury retrograde, but I feel like, I don't know what it has to do with, but I wanted to get your opinion on this actually. Like, do you see anything in the collective consciousness between things that are moving? So I'll give you an example. So things that are moving in, moving out, clearing out, or being thrown out. Things that are like, for instance, in my life, I cleaned up my room. I have a sister, she's moving out, and my mom, she's moving offices. 2 of my neighbors are cleaning out their houses. One just moved in. My entire office, like my shop, I work in a machine shop and in a fabrication shop. We're moving buildings, which 5 miles away is still a big move. And like several people on YouTube that I know, they're all associated with, either having a new business, moving out, moving in, having all these upsets come up. And I felt just so, called to say that because it landed on a new moon, and today is the day when I finished,
Right.
cleaning my room. So
there was a woman on yesterday that she's minimalizing everything that she has and is going to just travel around in an SUV. And the first thing that came to me was she's moving energy, and that's what everyone is doing is, what you just described. Everyone's in the process of moving energy. It's the microcosm of the macrocosm that's being played out right now.
Yeah. And when it comes to that, again, microcosm, macrocosm, like if I do it, like I first said, I want to say 6 months ago, like back in October, I'm going to clean my room. I'm going to get all my junk out of here. All things that are broken, that I don't use, that I'm no longer using or have served a purpose, and I get to let that go. And so I've been doing a lot of letting go, like saying, well, thank you. This is great. Thank you. And goodbye. I've been very conscious of doing that because that's, stuff still has energy on me. I still have stuff and energy on them, on the pieces of objects. And so, and I believed in the feng shui kind of thing. So I feng shuied my room a little bit. And the fact that levels of what, is in our environment gets to, focusing on that. So, it brings into question ley lines. It brings into question sigils, totems, different building architecture. What do they call it? It's like some layout of the land kind of thing. They kind of terraform the land in such a way where
ley lines.
Yeah, it's the ley lines, but there's a word for it. It's like geomancy. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, geomancy. Yeah.
So geomancy, and it involves, feng shui. I know I've heard of stories. I think it's called Marie Diamond. She's a really large spiritualist. She said she's done corporate buildings in Japan where they said they had to demolish the building because it was facing the wrong way. Like some things are going on higher than we can believe, and it's happening. So I feel like that was a lot of me moving energy, and then once I started doing it or started completing it, I saw everyone else doing it in my reality. So
you know what? It makes you wonder too, if people are moving energy like they are right now, maybe that's also part of what's going into the Mandela effects, how things have been changing because all this energy is being moved from one timeline to another.
Yeah, and
unconsciously.
What stays will be on one timeline, and what moves will be lighter and will be lifted away, and will be going off. Those energies, that energy will be going off. Also, just if you had anything to say, I'd like to say something else too. There's a lot to say.
No, go ahead.
All right. So when you shared the last image, actually, if you read again that the very last bold section, it told us like, if you have all this fear and stuff like that, it gave it like a solution. And it was like, you better do something about it, kind of like giving a quick summary about it, like do something about it, bring action to it, act on what you're saying. So this is something that I would like to do is, you know, come on to these talks more. And I don't know if it's just the lighting, but my throat is really red right now. And I've like got this type of energy, like I'm just like, I'm releasing this energy right now and talking to you gentlemen and lovely ladies on the other side, and on YouTube, because it's something that I really want to get into. So, you know, producing more content for an atmosphere like this, you know, sharing a relationship to growing our consciousness. And it's just something that I'm excited because, you know, I don't know how long ago, maybe it was like 6-7 years ago when I first discovered your website. And you're one of the first websites that I you know, came across, you know, learning about chakras and rituals and Reiki and stuff like that. So from that, I feel it's just a long time coming, and there's just like this, you know, convergence of these different symbols and cycles and stuff like that. That are just, everything's just coming together. It's just really amazing.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Well, the one that I'm currently on, I'm still live, but I don't have anything really on it. It's just a couple of videos of me, you know, recording some backyard filming, and then 1 or 2 things. But I'm still working on. I have a website. Nothing really else on there. Very, very basic form fact, but at the same time, I'm working on it. But you know, my website name is nathanribble.com. If anyone really cares, you can see the very basic format. And I feel like I'm really meant for this, but at the same time, I'm scared shitless. So I mean, there's a lot to go on that I really want to talk about. And you know, you inspired me up until this point, and I'm just like, oh, I remember Greg. You know,
You can do it. Anyone
Yeah.
can do it. Anyone can do this.
yeah,
It's not that hard.
Nope, not
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
No.
I can tell your throat chakra is wide open right now, and like you have a lot to say. I'm in that process too. I've been wanting to do my own YouTube channel. I have everything lined up and lined out, but I haven't made any content or anything in a very long time. So just trying to make everything align right now in order for me to get there, which I'm in the works right now. I got a few things to take care of for myself personally before I can take care of other people per se. That's what I call it.
I hear you.
And Mercury retrograde is a time where you're supposed to go in and reflect and slow down and realize what's working and what's not working. It also is a time for return as well. So things that have worked in the past that will benefit you, make sure you can focus on that too, because if you want that to return, it can return as well. So it's all about going in during this time. It really is. You're really supposed to slow down. You're supposed to purge a lot. Greg, I'm starting the fruitarian diet tomorrow. I ordered a pizza today though, so I'm having
Get it out of your system, right?
I'm having my last pizza, and I got my 7-Up right here. So I just bought a whole crate of bananas. I probably think like 80 or 100 bananas.
Berries are really good too. Blueberries, if you can get them.
Yeah. So yeah. So even purging like that, even for your own physical body, just trying something new that you know it's going to benefit you. So I think Mercury retrograde's a great time. I know a lot of people are afraid of it and they can't stand it, but if you understand it, it's a time to just sit still, reflect, and whatever's not serving you anymore, get rid of it. And whatever did serve you in the past that you haven't had in a while, ask for its return. I'm asking for my return. Greg, I think you know what my big return is the aviation industry, you know? So yeah. Yeah. Keep talking, man. You got a lot to say. And I know you like want to talk and let it out. It's great. Your throat chakra is wide open right now.
Oh boy, no, it's something like honestly, I don't remember what page it was. I have the was it Luciferian Doctrine saved. I actually have an account on Scribe, so I will look at that at my own time, but definitely will, you know, learn to speak out more, because I feel like I was just on the background for like a good 45 minutes. I'm like, I might as well say something. I'll chime in.
Yeah, it's time to put that YouTube channel to use.
Heck yeah.
I noticed.
Go ahead.
Just real quick, Phil. On YouTube in the chat room, Julie said that there's a 13 moon calendar, 28 months. Hool. It's called a HOOHLE. Hool Galactic Signature, free download of a 13 moon calendar on the site too. So
I think
you
I've
can
seen that
find
before.
you can find downloads of the 13 moon calendar online if you're looking
What's
for
it
it.
called, Greg? Again, what was it?
She has it listed as Hool, Hoohle, Galactic Signature.
Okay.
Yeah. So just passing that along. I'm gonna have to look that up later myself. Because I live without time. You never see me wear a watch, never, and you never will. The last watch I had, my parents bought for my high school graduation. It was a Seiko automatic. You could just shake it and automatically. I don't know. I put it down when I was playing pool at a bar and somebody lifted it, and that was it. So,
Oh my gosh.
it sucked because there was transcriptions in it from my parents, and it was something that I would have wanted to keep regardless of its connotations of Chronos, Father Time, and Saturn. But
So I wanted to address something because you talked about the cycles and you brought it back up about the moon calendars. So the important things about new moons, this is where you set your intentions or do your spells for what you want to bring in with the next full moon, because the moon is going to be waxing to full from here on out. So you got about 2 weeks. So this would be for long-term goals, and you just put out that intention, write it down, light a candle, something like that, call on your higher self, and send that out, and it'll all come back to you. I mean, this is a good time, is what I'm saying, for things like that.
a lot of people will do something similar on it's called the solar return on their birthday.
Well, I mean, this comes up every month though, so you can
Okay.
do these every month with the new moon. You set up an intent, an affirmation. It would be very powerful to do it right now and send it out there to be completed by the full moon. And that way you have the planets or the moon and working with you. It's always better to have the moon working with you than against you.
So
that's-
Julie corrected herself. She said Google galactic signature and 14-month moon calendar. What? I don't get that. What's a 14-month? Anyone ever heard of that? Did you mean
No.
13?
13, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
don't
number
know.
of moons that you'll have in a year.
Yeah, make sure you're putting down what we're supposed to be reading here, because you're confusing all of us.
Yeah, like
She's
the one
saying
that I got.
lawoftime.org is the website.
Okay. Yeah.
You could also put it on the chat here in Zoom, and that way it's listed. I mean, somebody just put up
That one.
www.13moon.com/products. So try that also to get the word out there. I'm sorry, I hate interrupting. I keep doing my bad.
It's fine.
Yeah. Funny enough, what really got me inspired to actually get this calendar, the one I got, this one was actually a Kickstarter made. So this one was like very limited printing and like, post-consumer recyclables. I didn't get it again because it was a lot of money. But what ended up happening was I was like looking in my mind. I went to a shop in Florida near Palm Beach, and it had this calendar. I'm like, wow, this is a really good calendar. I called the place again. I tried to find it. And the link that I just found, which I was the one that posted, 13moon.com, was actually the calendar that I was looking for. So like I finally found it. So I think I'm gonna order the calendar again because I need a new one now. So it's definitely something to look into.
One of the most important things that Jose Arguelles told us when he visited the tomb of Lord Pakal, this Mayan elder, he said that we need to live without time as much as possible. But if we're going to live in time, within the structure of time, to live within a harmonious version of that, like the 13 moon calendar. So I try to, like I said, I don't wear a watch. I stay away from time and scheduling. As you guys know, I rarely even get much of a heads up on these videos because I don't like scheduling anything. I don't like being put into that block of time. So I try to give like an hour or two heads up, and that's about it. So
Yeah.
follow me on Twitter,
How about
Patreon,
those
or
people that go on
Facebook, and you'll-
vacation and set up their itinerary at every hour? They got to be here and there and do this. And
yeah, my mother's the agenda
not-
queen. She would
I
map
That's
out
a
every
thing.
millisecond.
yeah, I have friends that did that to me when I came and visited them once, and I said, I love you guys, but I will never visit you guys again.
I'm a firm believer in just winging it.
Same, just wing it.
Yeah, I mean, what
You're-
is a
you're traveling,
vacation?
You're discovering new places. Like, why set your? I mean, explore. Go
That's
explore.
your higher self leading you to explore and expand your horizons. You know, go for it.
What is a vacation, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, what would a vacation be? Is to be free of time, really.
Yeah,
This is
you would
what I
think.
always looked at it as, to be free of time, to
Yeah.
have the time to do whatever I bloody well wanted.
Yeah, stay away from Kronos.
Right. It just leads you to an early grave, really.
Freedom from obligation, leisure, and release.
Well, it's interesting that Saturn is Father Time and Kronos, and that, you know, they celebrated that for Christmas, right? With Saturnalia, with that pagan holiday. So they were celebrating time, putting it on a pedestal, so to speak. And when in actuality, we need to get as far away from time as possible. And that's where we're heading ultimately, but we're still trapped within time through TV schedules, work schedules, you know, programming, television programming.
That's another thing that led to me being here. Is I retired 5 years ago. I had, you know, up until then, I was a government drone. I had to be at work at this time, you know, had to punch the clock, had to be there, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I used to produce commercials for American Forces Network, you know, where I was actually dealing with a lot of money, a lot of government money. But, you know, I had to put out the product, and we only had, you know, I lived by the clock, I swear. And I'm just like you. The first thing I did when I retired was I got rid of my watch. And, you know, once you get free of those obligations and you have time to sit and think about things, and you go inside and your mind opens up, that's where the change starts, really. Sorry, I did it again. I'm so sorry to be interrupting people. I hate it when people
Dude, you're not
me,
interrupting. You're
but I
part
do it
of our
all the time.
conversation.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're part of our conversation.
Gary, what's wrong with you today? You're never, you never doubt yourself like this. What's going on?
Actually, well, man, it's this Mercury retrograde, and you know, just listening to everything you guys are saying, and I'm like, everything that's coming out of everybody's mouth is like, yes, I know, yes, that's right, yes, I got to do this, yes, you know. So I guess I'm trying to catch up, man. I'm 62, you know. I didn't get into this until way late in the game, you know. And damage has been done, so to speak. So I gotta kind of, sometimes I'm in a hurry, and I gotta realize, man, all you gotta do is relax. Just let the flow happen.
Surrender,
relax,
surrender.
let it go, and try to quit running the bus, quit driving the train, and just be a passenger and look out the window and try like hell to enjoy the ride. That's what it's all about for me right now. It's just opening myself up to things.
And
And we hear from another species. So, folks, yeah, I mean, time, like they say, the only reality of time is now. Now is the only real moment. This is the only one you're experiencing. You can, in meditation, of course, go into your past and step into the future. Okay, yeah.
Hang on. We gotta do a little muting here.
I guess the dog didn't like that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, seeing how they in time they only, you know, one year for us is 7 for them, right?
Right, yeah.
Or the other way around. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going through time a lot faster. So
Yes.
Or
You guys
are they?
feel that time is speeding up?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like fast. I mean,
All the time.
yeah.
No pun
Every
intended.
day it's faster and faster.
It seems like your New Year's Eve show was like last week, Greg.
I know.
I swear, man, this has just been so
It's almost
fast
March.
the past 2 months.
Fly by.
Almost March, right? Yeah, we're 3 months into the new year. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So we were talking before about Aleister Crowley, and I found it interesting that, you know, I for some reason I've been on this Beatles kick for the last couple of years. And anyone that knows me knows I like, you know, basically hard rock, but the Beatles I've been listening to a lot and watching documentaries and stuff like that. They would incorporate certain things into their songs, which were reversed, and as well as having certain things that they use reversals on in their music. On one song, I don't remember which one it was, George Harrison played a lead that was done in reverse. So they were big. If you look at their Sgt. Pepper's album, Aleister Crowley was one of the people that's shown behind them. So makes you wonder, you know, what was it that they saw, or, you know, what kind of rituals were they doing that we didn't know about?
Well, also don't forget they were the one. I mean, I remember the Beatles, man. I remember when they exploded. I remember watching them on Ed Sullivan. That's how old I am.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and when they hit this country, it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. It was just mass hysteria, you know, and it was like somehow they just seemed to tap into what needed to be said at that time, because, you know, their journey took them from I Want to Hold Your Hand kind of songs. Then they went to India. They got turned on to, you know, transcendental meditation.
Yep. All You Need Is Love.
All that good stuff. And, you know, I mean, and John Lennon comes out, you know, and I mean, it really, I mean,
Then it went to Revolution.
Yeah. And guess what? You know, he unfortunately, you know, he was a bright, shining beacon. I think he was kind of getting people to accept the Eastern thought concept in the West, especially here, you know. I mean, here in Birmingham, they banned Beatles on the radio. They had record burnings, you know, especially when John Lennon did make the comment that they had affected as many people as Jesus Christ. You know, he said that in an interview once. Everybody took it the wrong way. He was just saying, no, we're just really blown away that our music just has this universal message that seems that everybody's into. That's what he meant, you know, but the way it was heard down here was, oh my God, he's insulted Jesus. We must destroy him, you know.
Yeah.
That kind of thing happens. And unfortunately, John Lennon eventually, you know, a crazy man shot him. So,
Well, it was actually genius in the end, because all these people that burned their albums ended up buying them again as CD.
yeah, good Lord. I mean, I'm just like you, Greg. 4 years ago, I bought the entire Beatles, you know, the remastered CDs, you know, where everything's supposed to be primo. And I've been listening to a lot of, you know, All You Need Is Love, you know, and anyway.
I got stuck on that there's a documentary called The Winged Beetle that's fantastically done. I've talked a little about this before, but you can find it on Vimeo, I think, The Winged Beetle. And it talks about the Paul is dead conspiracy. And when I first heard of it, I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it was so well done that I think it's Fall, not Paul right now. That's what they call fake Paul, is Fall, F-A-U-L, Paul McCartney. And that's I honestly, after watching The Winged Beetle, it was that well done that I don't believe that Paul is around anymore. The only one that's left is Ringo, and he wasn't even one of the original.
Oh yeah, he was replaced. And
it was Pete Best.
Pete
Right.
Best, you know, the original drummer, man. I mean, how do you think he felt? You know, I quit.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, wait a minute, you guys are stars, you know.
Mary Jane saying Paul is the walrus. And that's what they said. That was part,
you know.
That was part of the documentary, that they said that when Paul's head got severed from the car accident after, you know, they were at Abbey Road working late at night. And they had a disagreement. Paul left angry, and it was raining out. And apparently he picked up this woman named Rita. There you have the name, lovely Rita Meter Maid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he picked up this woman, Rita, and I guess she was coming on to him. He lost control of the car. It got into a bad accident. His head got severed, and apparently one of his teeth were sticking through his cheek. And they said he looked like a walrus. So that's why if you do some of the reversals on the Beatles records, it says the walrus is Paul.
Well, I mean, I actually was one of the kids that was listening to "I Buried Paul."
Yes.
You know, if you played it, if you jiggle the record just enough, you know, yeah. So, I mean, and you know, obviously they hooked into some kind of force that, you know,
magic,
magic
M-A-G-I-C-K,
that propelled them to instant fame, but boy, it cost them in the end.
They all paid for it. Like I said, none of them are, well, I guess Pete Best is still around, but he sucks for him.
Well, I mean, you know, look at Pink Floyd and what was the guy's name? The original leader of Pink Floyd, who basically did so many drugs it drove him psychotic. And Sid Barrett.
Gilmore?
Sid Barrett.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the guy was a musical genius, but he, you know, I really think that, oh goodness, here I am getting this esoteric again, but I don't know where all this is coming to fruition. And frankly, I think I got to check my blood sugar, because I think I might be having a little low blood sugar at the moment. So y'all excuse me.
Okay.
Sometimes I start talking and I lose my train of thought. And then sometimes I lose the entire station too.
So what I'm doing is I'm going to be posting that. If you guys, you know, have some free time, just posted that into the YouTube chat, the video of the winged beetle. So it's really, really interesting. The guy, like I said, the guy that put that together did it really well, professionally done. Very, very makes you wonder. It'll definitely put you outside the box. And of course, you know, like I said, this all comes around full circle with the Beatles doing stuff like that. Their association with Aleister Crowley. John Lennon mentioned that when they would go through towns, he would read street signs, you know, welcome to whatever, and he'd always read them backwards, reversing the name of the town. So he was big into that. I believe they all were at some point.
You know, Greg, I was just thinking about that today, actually, like either today or yesterday. I was looking up people who can actually speak backwards or even sing backwards. And it was amazing. They could like say, oh, sing me, you know, We Will Rock You backwards. And he would just, you know, all right, give me a second. He'll put up his app on his phone or something like that, and he'll sing it. And then he'll play it backwards and blow people's minds on the street. Like, it's just, you look it up. It's pretty cool.
Right. No, I know that person that you're talking about, and I've seen that. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And then there's this other girl who got internet famous as well. She'll do the same thing. She'll say she'll read a word, or you'll say a word, and she'll just do it backwards. And it's like, you know, single word or multiple sentence things. And I feel like that's also about the green language, or like the language based things. There's a lot of things that we're reading that's either backwards or intentionally done, or it could be, you know, synchromysticism for all intents and purposes, you know, synchronistically aligned to, you know, happen that way.
Yeah, that word evil, live. That's
Exactly.
You know, Snapchat has a filter. If you record yourself talking, it actually reads to you backwards, like in the video. It's kind of funny.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a filter on it. Yeah. So I watched some of my videos backwards, and the language is quite. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, you know, I do use that kind of stuff on my DNA. I'll get to that in a second, but I just want to show this. This is a quote from Michael Elner. Everything is backwards. Everything is upside down. Doctors destroy health. Lawyers destroy justice. Universities destroy knowledge. Governments destroy freedom. The major media destroys information, and religion destroys spirituality. So, I mean, there's nothing there that I think
It's
any of us
probably
would
in my
not.
Gmail. Let me look.
Oh, hang on. Chris is.
I didn't realize I was still hooked up.
All right. I thought I heard something going on there. Anyway, let me go back to what I was just telling you about before too. And we were talking about reversing things and even speaking in reverse. There's an article I have on N5D about how to change your DNA right now, how to activate it right now. And so I've been using myself as a guinea pig. You know, I'm trying to do all these different things to my DNA. And you can find this article on N5D, and I'll put a link in the more info section. You know, one of the things I'm doing is Ho'oponopono. I use affirmations. I'm also using sigils, which is what these major corporations use against us. And if you look here, this is a glass. I created this sigil. This sigil, when you look at it, you can't tell what it means. But what it says is all of my codons are open. So
Nice.
and then I use ozone water into my sigil glass, and I stir it clockwise, and I'll say all my codons are open. Then I'll stir it counterclockwise and reverse that. I'll use the reversal of all my codons are open, which is Nipo Era Snodak Ymphala. So I'm doing the sigils, you know, what they're doing, I'm using for the positive, because if anyone's using this stuff for the negative, that stuff's going to come back on them 10 times, if not more. But what I'm doing with this is for the positive, because what I want to do is show people, this is what I did to open up all the codons in my DNA to become basically immortal. And you can do this too. Documenting it for everyone. So yeah, reversals are, you know, part of what you can do, but you can do it for the good. You can do it for the light.
Exactly.
Nipo Era Snodak Ymphala. All of my codons are open.
Greg, speaking of like DNA coding and everything, there's this new book out there called Boundless by Ben Greenfield. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's a book for people who are waking up and things like that. It goes into sort of the scientific areas of like eating healthy, different ways of working out, different ways of exercising, helping you activate your new DNA codes. It was released on Amazon, I think on January 21st. And
what was it called?
It's called Boundless. I just I sent it in the group chat for Zoom. It's called Boundless by Ben Greenfield. It's a little pricey. It's like $53, but they were pre-ordering those starting in October of 2019. I haven't gotten myself a copy yet, but I heard it's supposed to be really amazing. If you want to read the description too, to everybody on YouTube, there's a quick description on it.
Yeah, I see it right here. In a perfect world, you would be able to have it all: complete optimization of mind, body, and spirit. In Boundless, the New York Times bestselling, blah, blah, blah. Ben Greenfield offers a first of its kind blueprint for total human optimization. Now, my question would be to him, what have you done to open up all the codons in your DNA? Can you levitate? Do you have telepathy? Can you teleport yourself? This is stuff that I'm working on. Right. I don't know how far he's going with it, but
yeah, I don't know. I maybe just he's just talking about the physicality of it, of like just being like a lighter being, things like that. I don't know, but it seemed interesting.
Yeah. Well, we have only 20 of the 64 codons in our DNA turned on. So that means, 44 codons are turned off, something like that. So if somebody can figure out how to turn on those remaining codons, you could do anything. So that's what I'm working on. I've been working on it for years. You know, so I'm hoping it turns on soon. I turned 60 this year, so you know, I don't know how much longer I have to work on it.
All I know is that
I
it will
think we're
come.
all gonna. I think everyone on here. I think we're all gonna be living a lot longer than we anticipate. Especially going into this new dimension and everything. And so just hang tight. I know Gary's all worried and everything, but I think hang tight, Gary. I think we're all gonna be living a lot longer than we have been told.
You know, I'm not worried, man, because I really do think it's going to happen. The flash is going to happen. This intense, joyous event is going to happen within the next 4 years. I really believe that. And I ain't going nowhere for 4 years. I'll guarantee you that. I'm eating right. I mean, I just checked my blood sugar. It's 123. I didn't have low sugar. I'm actually feeling normal. Wow, you know. I'm going to be here, man. We're going to make it. All of us are going to make it. We all are. We all
of us are. Absolutely.
123 is not bad.
Well, when you've been running in the 250 to 270 range for the last 10 years, that's pretty good, actually. So, I mean, like I tell you, man, I've made changes and they are impacting my life. You know, this stuff works.
I found with the fruitarian diet that my blood sugar went from around 115 or so down to 86.
I'm doing the fruitarian diet. Like I told you, I'm getting my blender the first of the month when my next my big check comes in from Uncle Sam, you know, but right now I just did a bunch of juicing for the first time the other day. Juiced a bunch of blueberries, lemon and orange and lime and a couple of pears. And oh my God, it was delicious, you know, and because I'm doing that is why my blood sugar is starting to become right. So you see, it all works. You know, we can all really heal ourselves. It's just putting the effort in, you know, and thinking right, really. So yeah, I'm going to be here. I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to hang out.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I'm going to make it, you damn sure should make it, Gary. And I'm going to make it. Because I'm making it happen now.
You know, I'm going to do a screen share once again here because I was curious what they were talking about like, you know, fruits and vegetables, but it just brought me to this because I just typed in berry for the search and it brought me here. So you can actually remineralize the bones and teeth with the proper diet.
Yeah, I even asked my dentist that same thing where, hey, is there anything I can do with these like discoloration of my teeth? And she's like, nope. The only thing else that she offered was veneers or fluoride.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do the fluoride. Never do the fluoride.
Yeah, it was a mistake. Yeah.
That's a bloody poison.
This is interesting too. Check this out. Restricted foods. Potatoes.
Oh no.
Is it like a nightshade? I think it seems like a lot of nightshades. Something about it.
Well, these are foods that you can eat without limitations, right? Plenty of them, but these ones are limited. So potatoes, tomatoes, eggplant, who cares? I don't like that anyway. Beets, I don't like that.
Look at the grains. Look at the grains. There's like a lot of staple grains there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look how they say canned stuff, you know, stuff that's frozen or canned. Really, you know, stay away from it. That's, God knows, that's what my higher self's been telling me now for months, you know. Go fresh.
Look at this.
Fresh is
drinks,
better.
freshly pressed vegetable fruit juices from the foods listed in this table. So if you're going to make a fruit juice, you're not supposed to use blueberries. Isn't that something? Or strawberries or pineapple.
Well, hell, I just bought a whole flat of strawberries today.
I love it. Well, that's what there's.
I'm sorry. I'm going to eat my strawberries.
Yeah, same here. Strawberries are in season in Florida right now.
I'm not going to buy any more, but I'm going to eat the ones I have. I love them. I'm sorry.
We have the strawberry festival going on right now in Plant City.
My parents both went through the Depression as children, and so I was raised to never throw away food. That's one reason I weighed almost 300 pounds when I was in the 8th grade, is I had to clean my plate, definitely. And some nights it took me 2 hours. They put so much food on it, you know?
So for fruits, this is what they're saying: avocado, lemon, and cranberry. That's it.
Well, those don't have sugars in them.
Ah,
So for me, with what I have, it's a very similar thing. I'm not supposed to have bananas, anything like that, because sugar is sugar. Well, processed white sugar is, of course, the worst, but natural sugars can also affect your body. So you have to watch. Honey is medicinal, but for myself, I'm very limited on if I have a teaspoon of honey in a ginger tea for medicinal purposes. And they prefer to be seasonal and regional. So eat what is available where you live, and that will also help your body adjust and so forth. It's quite fascinating.
so what they are saying though is restricted foods, one item can be added occasionally. So, you know, if you have a craving for potatoes once in a blue moon, I guess you could do that, or any of these fruits. I'm not crazy about all that fruit. I think, honestly, what I feel deep down inside, I love the fruitarian diet. I think it's going to be great for detoxing and losing weight, but I don't think personally for myself, it's the right thing to do as, you know, day in and day out. Just for detoxing, yeah. To lose weight, yeah. But I still feel like I need meat in my diet. I feel that is necessary, unfortunately. And eggs, you know, so I might do, you know, some chicken or fish or whatever, or some occasional burger. But ultimately, there's got to be that balance that goes on in your diet. Who can honestly do that, this kind of diet?
I couldn't. No way.
I couldn't either.
No way.
Well, some people have been able to, you know, I mean, people who find themselves look at the people who go on hunger strikes. They go without food totally until they die, you know? So there are people who can do it, you know?
I mean, we're supposed to start eating light anyways. I mean, that's even what Dolores Cannon said before she passed away. I mean, we're supposed to be eating a liquid diet. And she said all the fruits and vegetables you can get. And she said, because once you go over to the 5th dimension, there is none of that, none of the processed foods, no meat or anything. And they said that we're not even going to be eating in the 5th dimension at all. That we're supposed to be getting prepared for being a light body. And that's why we're supposed to be on this fruitarian diet, is because we are moving into that direction. So it's supposed to help you with getting ready, because your body's changing every day because of all these new energies that are coming in. And Dolores Cannon said that if they were to give us all these energies at once, our bodies would we would die. So, but in order to help ease the symptoms of awakening, she really says you are supposed to be eating fruits and vegetables and eventually liquid diet in order to help us get through this ascension process. So I just, like I said, Greg, I don't see throwing away all those fruits and vegetables on there. I mean,
well, I don't think that's what they mean. I think it's a transitional diet. I think it's goal oriented, and it's giving you a process, and these are your choices.
And I think that once you reach the process, then this is the diet you can follow. You won't want any of that stuff. Your body won't even take it. I mean,
right, but it's not as limited as like that one particular section where it's saying pick only one.
Right.
I mean, I feel that I should be a vegetarian because I know that animals have feelings and they have souls, and that I'm eating a living being. And that to me is starting to become somewhat distasteful. But then again, my body is screaming for protein. The other night, I had to eat a hamburger. I mean, I went and got a greasy burger because it's what I needed. And magically, it really didn't affect my blood sugar. So I've started to learn that if I listen to what my body's craving right now, is telling me what it needs to get healthy. I just got to listen to it.
Just gotta listen. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. Okay, a couple questions. All right. One, what about the people? I mean, I would love to be a vegetarian. I really would. But my body does not allow for that. I've had chronic diarrhea since I was a little kid. Little kid. So vegetable diet for me means I never leave the bathroom. And yes, I have tried it. It does not end well.
I mean,
But
I want to be a vegetarian too, but I really can't because I am a diabetic and I do have to have a certain amount of protein and this vitamin and that vitamin and this nutrient and that nutrient. And,
I'm a former diabetic myself, but
yeah.
and
So,
then you have people, I know at least 3 in person that can actually hear the plants scream when they're cutting them and everything like that. So
I mean,
honestly, that's a hard thing because I know people who out of those people, they purposefully get the pre-made salads and stuff like that because then they're not the one killing them, just like going to the store rather than going out hunting. Although, yeah, your higher vibrational stuff is the stuff you go out, you hunt, you grow in your garden. Yeah, those have more vitamins, are way healthier for you, but you're the one killing them. If that makes sense.
Are you expressing gratitude for that to the
Of
plants?
course.
One thing I've come to, I think, believe is that certain things like plants, I mean, they understand that's their destiny. That's what they're here for, is that they're here to support life on the planet and that they have to do it. And so for them, for us to consume them, that's actually us doing what they want us to do. They the plants.
Dolores Cannon said that they
it's support us. They're here to support us,
Dolores Cannon said that it's actually honorable.
But they're here to support us. So I understand, that's why when I eat a hamburger or when I eat an animal, I bless it. I thank it. They thank you so much for the sacrifice you made personally to give me fuel. And then I promise that I will try to use this for the good of everything and everyone everywhere. That's how I think. That's how I think that works out. And so that, as human beings, we have to have a certain diet because a part of us is an animal. We are animals from this planet. We have an animal part in our brain, right? Way deep down in the core, survival, and we have to, everybody wants to survive and wants to reproduce. That's our mission. That's our mission in the universe, and right now our mission is to fill everybody with love and raise the vibration. But, I can see eating vegetables because I think you're helping them fulfill their destiny, Everybody needs to fulfill their destiny.
Well, like even as a kid, I used to feel guilty because, we had antiques, artifacts, and crafts. And I was always taught that everything had a sacred space and you honor that. But at the same time, I would feel guilty because we'd carve rocks. And I'm like, we're changing it. And then a friend had pointed out that, no, we're not changing it. We were making it into what it was meant to be all along. And then I was like, oh, now I don't feel as guilty about chopping up this rock. It sounds silly kind of now, but
energy can never be destroyed. It can only be transformed into something else. So everything that's here is eventually going to become something else somewhere, but it's not ever going to be destroyed, which is, that's, to me, that's beautiful. The fact that we're immortal, that our soul, that when we come back from the other side of the veil and we incarnate on this planet and we go through the big memory loss about everything, our previous lives and everything, but, energy can't really be destroyed. So you're never really destroying anything. You're just transforming it into another place, another dimension, another entity. Sorry, I tend to get weird sometimes.
Oh, I'm in 100% agreement.
Okay, because that's how I look at. Okay, I can eat a hamburger, but you know what? Like I said, once in Germany, I got to experience watching a young calf be turned into meat products real quick.
Oh yeah,
shocking.
That's the thing about animals for me is I still eat meat here occasionally, but ever since I became, going through my awakening, now that I understand, especially in the US, the way we raise our cattle and slaughter them, when you are fear, you release those hormones, and we're eating that. And that, for me, especially in our country, it's hard for me to actually go back to eating a lot of meat just because of the way the US raises our cattle.
That's
So,
interesting
because that's the way I look at it.
That's
it depends
interesting
on where you're located too.
That's really interesting you brought that up, because that's something else too, is that this calf had no idea what was about to happen to it. Okay. It didn't go through the slaughterhouse system. Okay. It was done at a local German meat place, Metzgerei, butcher shop. Okay. The guy walked up, he put a little cap on the calf that had a ball bearing sewn into it, a little leather helmet, fed the calf something, and while the calf was munching, he slammed it in the head with a hammer. The calf didn't know what was happening. So that meat, in my opinion, it doesn't have those fear, horrible hormones in it, you know? That's why organic meat, stuff that's not done in the slaughterhouse system, yeah, that's what we need to go to, because there's no reason to torture animals like that for no reason.
No.
I mean,
Well, it's like shooting a
look
deer.
at your eggs. You know
They
that
don't have time for the
every
fear.
male baby chick that's born is basically ground up alive in a
Mhm.
wood chipper, because they don't need male baby chicks. And I've seen video of that. Nobody wants to see it because you don't want to think about it. Because when you're having your eggs in the morning, you don't want to think about, oh my God, how did I get this? You know, that's why going organic is the way to go, you know, because those animals aren't subjected to the industrial slaughter system that puts all the bad energy and, oh my God, everything negative in the food. Yes, I agree with you totally, my man. I'm sorry to interrupt again.
No, you're all right, Gary.
I got to interject in here.
Myself, I got to fix, really. I'm working on it. I really am.
I got to interject here.
Yeah, go ahead. Phil.
There's and now this is information I got a long time ago, but I think it's probably still pertinent. Is that actually, and it gets back to what you're talking about, because we've got the way cattle are operated here in the United States is that they go into a damn feedlot, and that feed that they're feeding them has all sorts of. You think we're bad with the GMOs we're getting? They're getting it on spades. They're getting growth hormones. They're getting parts of other cows. This is how they get this mad cow disease that was rampant. Now we don't talk about it anymore because, you know, they didn't want to ruin their meat trade. So, man, I wouldn't eat hamburger, beef at all. I won't eat ham either because I raised a pig, and that was a very intelligent animal. So it's all on a level of consciousness. How conscious is the food you're eating? Now, you know, the quality of the life that you're taking. So I would say
I only go as far as chicken now. You know, I really try to stay away from the red meat. I really, really do. And I'm not like a food snob. If I'm out, you know, at like a social event or something where I have to be at a dinner and there's meat there and stuff, I'm not that type of guy that's like, I only eat vegetables. Sorry, you know, I respect people still, and I'll make sure it's very, you know, if they have a salad with chicken on the menu instead of getting beef, I'll definitely go with the salad and chicken, you know. But I hear what you're saying, Phil. Yeah, I really just can't see eating red meat ever again for various purposes. I try not to.
I resonate with that a lot too, Phil. And like I say, I mean, this is a process I'm kind of new at. I'm going through, and I mean, I'm making a lot of changes. And the thing is that I just can't change everything at once, you know? I mean, I still have to exist in the world, in my neighborhood, in this house, in my body, with the food that I have available and my situation, you know? So
yeah, I'm not judging anybody here on any of this.
We can to be conscious of our food and to really believe, you know, I believe that our food is provided to us so that we can reach our potential. Every human being can, reach their potential, and we need to, just put that love and light into the world. That's what we're working on, and trying to keep our vibration as high as we can.
The problem is that our food's being weaponized against us.
Yes.
The additives, preservatives.
By the guys in charge, the black hats. I mean, there's the good and there's the dark. Well, the dark has had this world under its sway now for a long time, but the light is starting to, break through now. So
I think that's what they were probably getting at for the most part on the Luciferian doctrine about, the things that we're supposed to eat and not supposed to eat is, the majority of this stuff is causing this cancer that's going on here. And why so many people across the United States have had cancer or are unaware of the cancer they have. So it gives you, at least, if nothing else, like a template to work with. I don't think many of us are going to give up strawberries or blueberries because of the, especially like blueberries with the antioxidant effects that they have.
No, I love my strawberries. I mean, I've craved strawberries since I was a little kid. I remember, and I still to this day crave them, thinking that I know that I'm craving them because they have the nutrients that I need, and my body's telling me that strawberries have the nutrients that I need. So strawberries and bananas, those are the two fruits I go to if I need to survive.
Yeah, they used to have, in college, they used to have this ice cream bar, and one of the toppings they had was strawberries and bananas mixed together, sliced bananas and strawberries. So I'd just go up there and I'd just get a whole bowl of the strawberries and bananas. I wouldn't have the ice cream, just, yeah. Yummy. So they go on to talk about one other thing I'll bring up here. These are herbs that they recommend: garlic, grapefruit seed extract, golden seal, aloe, broccoli extract, evening primrose oil. Not sure what this is. Paul Diarco, MSM, methyl sulfonethylamine, something like that. Ginseng, nani, not sure what that is. Oregano oil, echinacea, astragalus, pomegranate. So I'm not familiar with, honestly, probably over half of these. I'm not familiar with. What I'd like to do is, I just like to look into them.
Oregano oil, yeah, and grapeseed oil.
Garlic, garlic's a natural antibiotic.
Yeah.
I just chewed on a piece of garlic the other night when I was having all this inflammation problems, and it subsided the last couple of days. I mean, really, garlic is it's an antibiotic.
Yeah, they say if you're having anything, take garlic. Anything. If you have any issues, garlic. And then they have a bunch of optional ones, which includes coconut oil, which I find is very beneficial.
Yeah, I got to start doing coconut oil again.
Have you ever heard of acerola cherry powder, Greg?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I have.
I heard that's pretty good. That's good.
What do you do with it? You put it in like
it's
water?
Yeah, a tablespoon or two in water, or you can put it in one of your smoothies. It gives you your immune booster, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I use hemp milk in my smoothies. It's got 20 of your essential amino acids in it.
Really?
Hemp seed oil or hemp seed milk.
Where do you get that?
Well, I get it at Fred Meyer here in Washington. I don't know where you would It's a here. I'll get the name brand for you.
Yeah, I would try that in my smoothie. I use coconut water or pomegranate juice.
Here, I'll turn the camera back on here. So this is the stuff I use. Let's see here.
Yep, I can see it.
Yep.
So Pacific, I can't read that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pacific Foods is the manufacturer, but
Okay.
this stuff is good. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to drink it. I mean, it doesn't taste like milk at all, but it's not bad. It's not bad, and it goes well in coffee, tea, smoothies, and like I said, 120 of your essential amino acids. And this,
See, that's a tough one for me is, all my life I've been pretty much a milkaholic. I love milk,
me
and
too.
I love ice cream. I love cheese, everything that comes from milk. I love dairy products. I'm not lactose intolerant. I can eat them all. My body doesn't necessarily love me for it.
Me three.
Put a little weight on when I overindulge on that stuff. But yeah, I really, it'd be nice to find some kind of like alternate that tastes equally as good, but I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, neither have I. I'm trying almond milk right now, and it's got a funny aftertaste or a funny taste to it that just doesn't set well with me. I'm trying to adapt to it.
I'm
I
drinking
know
almond
dairy
milk.
isn't supposed to be that good for me, but
I got the unsweetened kind, and it's vanilla flavored, so it's really good in coffee. But I've been using it in cereal because I put a little bit of stevia, the natural sweetener. That's what I use to sweeten stuff with. Works real good. It's something to try. I mean, it has protein and it's non-dairy, so I'm
I
trying it.
love almond milk. I like it better than regular milk. I have a little bit of a lactose problem anyways, not really severe, but I do. So, but I think almond milk tastes better than real milk.
And no cows are abused when you drink almond milk.
Craig, your
Well,
face.
if
You're
you
like,
get from the right dairy around, like here in Kansas, there's a
Sorry.
lot of small mom and pop dairies, and you get good milk. It's
Oh, yeah.
not bad. And farm fresh milk, I'm sorry, you can't beat it. I grew up on it.
When I'm talking about animal abuse in industrial farming, that's what
Oh
it
yeah, industrial, yeah, that stuff's horrid.
mom and pop. I mean, like one time in Germany, for the only time in my life, I had raw milk. Farmer,
Oh,
we would just set up by his field, and he walks over with a bottle and he goes, "Here, have milk." And it was hot and it was right out of the cow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've never tasted anything like it since, but as long as the cow is happy, and I mean, they know they're supposed to make milk. They don't mind making milk. That's their job. It's just when
Oh yeah,
they're
because it hurts them
just
not
when they're
to. Well,
tortured
like
to
women
produce milk,
having a kid, it hurts.
Yeah. I don't want y'all to think I'm some kind of bleeding heart. Oh no, animals should never have. They have their purpose. I mean, like I have my cats right here. They're laying around somewhere.
Oh, I understand. Sadly, I grew up in a small community
It's been proven
where
to be therapeutic. It's healthy, So you
Mhm.
get yourself a cat, especially if you have heart problems. They're supposed to reduce stress. They really do. You can't be stressful and pet a cat. You just can't. So there you go. Sorry, I did it again.
Oh no, there are some cats. I can't complain. I have dogs, I have cats, I have snakes, and now rats and fish and too many animals. Yeah. Got
Here's
them.
something. I'm just interjecting real quick. I'm sorry. But Heather is saying on YouTube, God, I love this group. I thought I would never find my tribe again. Thank you, everyone. Welcome home. Right?
welcome.
Yeah.
We love you.
yeah, much love to everybody out there. Really.
Very much love.
So you know what?
Greg says, infinite love and light. I mean, that's We just need to start spreading it around to everybody, and the next thing you know, it'll catch.
I hope so. Yeah. Well, I think we're going to probably wrap it up here. We've been going on for a couple hours, almost 3 hours. And I just want to put it out there that, what if the Luciferian doctrine was Lucifer's offering to Creator Source to get back into his good graces? Is it possible? Yeah, maybe it is. Everything is upside down and backwards in our society. So like anything,
But, yeah, why wouldn't Lucifer be upside down and doing good?
Right. Well, you just like anything presented here today, just take it, with a grain of salt and use your own discernment. But for a lot of this stuff, a lot of stuff I do agree with that we went over today. I am not Luciferian. I'm not a Mason. I'm not a Satanistic person. I just believe in an all-loving Creator, and that we are heading towards something that's going to be incredible, and it's going to happen in our lifetimes. So I'm going to leave it off at that. I want to thank everybody who's joined us. I encourage you to stop by n5d.net to find t-shirts like this. I just made a bunch of them like this one. And so if you like this one, plenty of them over there, every size. Also, check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/n5d. And be a supporter. You can help support our channel by that, which helps bring us this Zoom platform. So until the next time, not sure when that'll be. You guys know me, though. It's usually, I'll give you an hour notice or so. Heads up, but it'll be then. So until the next time, I'm sending you all infinite love and light. Love you all. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste to everybody.
Namaste, everybody.